Welcome to my channel, where we try and answer the great mysteries of the universe, like why do babies cry? Why does time go so fast when you're having fun? And how does Plan B work if Plan A doesn't work? But today, we're taking on a question from one of our viewers. This viewer asked, "Can someone please share a story about meeting someone out of nowhere who tells you something very specific about your future that happens within 24 hours?" So, let's meet this week's mysterious stranger. It was one of those hot summer days, the kind of day where the sun shines with an angry vengeance and the only relief is in a nice cold shower. But that's not what this story is about. This story is about a trip to the store. It was just another one of those ordinary trips until it wasn't. The narrator had no idea that their life was about to change during that trip. The thing is, these kinds of things tend to happen at the most mundane moments, don't they? Like right after you get done showering and you walk outside and you see the beautiful rainbow and a pot of gold at the end of it, and a leprechaun waves at you and he says, "Hey, long time no see. Want some gold?" Well, the narrator wasn't lucky enough to encounter that particular kind of magical being, but instead they encountered a different kind, the kind that likes ice cream. Let's listen in. One Sunday afternoon, I went to the nearby grocery store to buy some ice cream. When I got home, I was watching TV and eating my ice cream in silence. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. I opened the door and saw a tall, thin man. He was about 6 feet tall, maybe older than me, which means he could have been in his late 30s or early 40s. He was wearing a dark green, long-sleeve shirt and dark pants. His hair was black and combed back. He introduced himself as James and said that he was a traveling salesman passing through town and he was wondering if he could use my phone. I told him, sure, but I didn't have a phone in that room. I invited him to come sit down in the living room. While he was talking on the phone, I sat down on the couch and suddenly I got the urge to go out and buy some more ice cream. I put on my shoes, and before I could leave the house, he hung up the phone. "Thank you for letting me use your phone," he said. It was an important call. As I was about to leave, he said, "Wait." He looked at me and said, "Do you believe in psychic stuff?" I replied, "Not really, but what makes you ask?" He leaned forward and said, "You will be getting married soon." I thought he was joking, so I laughed and said, "No, I'm not." "You will be," he insisted. "When will this happen?" I asked, trying to make him elaborate. "In 3 years," he said. I returned home, still laughing at how ridiculous the whole situation was. At that time, I was single. 3 years seemed like a long time to wait for a wedding, but who knows? Maybe he was right. A few days later, I found myself going back to that same store again. This time, I brought my mother with me. She was stunned by the coincidence of the man's visit, and she bought 2 ice creams to celebrate. We both agreed that it was odd that he would just appear at my door like that. I never spoke to him again, but I kept thinking about what he had said. 3 years later, I met a man, and I felt that he was the one. We started dating, and 3 years after that, we were married. The funny thing is that everything the psychic had said came true. Even my mother was surprised and couldn't stop talking about it. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but I like to think that he was right. What are your thoughts? Was this stranger really a psychic, or was it just a coincidence? I don't know. I mean, sometimes coincidences can be pretty uncanny, but other times you have to chalk it up to people just being people. It's possible that this stranger was just a guy named James who happened to be a traveling salesman. You know, because that's a thing that people say. Like if you ever hear someone at your door and they say they're a traveling salesman, don't open the door. No, seriously though, how many people do you know named James? Now think about how many traveling salesmen you know. Coincidence, huh? But let's say for a moment that this James dude was actually a psychic. What would you do in that situation? Would you keep talking to him? Would you run away screaming, "Witchcraft, heresy"? Or would you buy an extended warranty on your car? How much stock do you put into a random guy off the street saying something about your future? That's like the fortune cookie version of predictions. But the difference between fortune cookies and psychics is that fortune cookies cost significantly less. I want to know what you think about this. So leave a comment below. I love reading them. While you're down there, like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also check out some of our other videos. We've got a ton of great ones. Also, consider subscribing to our Spanish language channel where we bring you all sorts of amazing stories like this one about a mysterious blue chicken. Yeah, it's weird. Just go with it. Check it out. Now, let's move on to our final story. This one comes from another viewer, and the question is, has anyone ever had a strange dream about someone they didn't know and then later met them? I'm pretty sure that everyone has dreams like this, but this person wants to know if other people remember those dreams. Sometimes I have dreams about people I don't know, and when I wake up, I wonder who they are and what their lives are like. Other times, I'll have a dream about a stranger and then I'll randomly meet someone who looks just like them. And look, I know this isn't the topic of today's video, but let's talk about this for a minute because I think it's interesting. It seems like the human brain is wired to recognize patterns. That's how we learn and make sense of the world around us. So it makes sense that we would sometimes dream about strangers who remind us of people we do know. But then, other times we'll meet a complete stranger and we'll think, hey, I know this person from somewhere. We'll ask them where we met, and they'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you feel crazy. But maybe you weren't crazy. Maybe they were just in your subconscious mind. Like, maybe you met them in a dream. What do you think? Have you ever had a dream about a stranger and then met them in real life? Leave a comment about that below and we'll read some of the best ones in a future episode. Until then, remember, we have a Spanish language channel. Go check that out and don't forget to subscribe. One of our goals is to reach 1 million subscribers by the end of this year. If you want to help us get there, hit the subscribe button and join our amazing community. Thank you for listening.